You posted something, and then you checked, and then you checked again, and maybe a few minutes later, checked one more time. Not because you were expecting anything specific, just because somewhere underneath, something needed to know, did people respond? Did they approve? Did it land? You already know this about yourself. Most people do. But what almost nobody knows is why. Not the surface answer, the real one. The one that goes all the way down to the architecture of what it means to be human. Because the need for approval is not vanity. It is not insecurity in a shallow sense. It is something so old, so deep, and so fundamentally wired into your biology that calling it a flaw would be like calling hunger a personality defect. This is the hidden reason humans need approval from other people. And it goes much further than you think. Let's start with the brain. Specifically, with a system inside the brain that neuroscientists call the social reward network. This system, a cluster of interconnected regions, including the ventral striatum and the medial prefrontal cortex, is activated when you receive social approval. A compliment, a nod of agreement, a like on a post, a moment where someone signals that you are seen, valued, and accepted. And the activation looks almost identical to what happens when you receive a financial reward, or food when you're hungry. The brain does not cleanly separate social approval from basic survival rewards. It processes them through overlapping circuitry. Because for the vast majority of human history, they were the same thing. Being valued by others was not a luxury. It was the mechanism through which you stayed alive. Here is the evolutionary reality. Human beings are the most socially dependent species on the planet. Not just emotionally, structurally. Our survival has always required cooperation at a scale that no other animal attempts. Hunting in coordinated groups, sharing resources across seasons, raising children communally, building shelters that require multiple people. Every single one of these survival strategies depends entirely on other people choosing to include you, to cooperate with you, to value your presence, which means the brain needed a way to monitor your social standing constantly, not occasionally, constantly. It needed to track whether you were valued by the group, whether your contributions were recognized, whether you were seen as useful, trustworthy, worth keeping around. Because the moment you stopped being valued, the moment the group's approval of you dropped, your access to all of those shared survival resources dropped with it. Approval seeking is not weakness. It is the brain doing exactly what a brain needs to do to keep a social animal alive. But there is a layer beneath even this, something that psychologists call the sociometer, a theory developed by researcher Mark Leary that proposes the human brain has a continuous, automatic monitoring system running below conscious awareness, whose entire purpose is to track your current level of social acceptance and rejection. The sociometer doesn't wait for you to consciously wonder how other people feel about you. It is always running. It processes facial expressions, tones of voice, body language, the pace of someone's reply, the enthusiasm in someone's greeting, all of it, all the time, feeding a continuous readout of where you stand. And when the readout drops, when the system detects even a hint of social disapproval, it generates a signal, an emotional alert, the specific discomfort of feeling judged, dismissed, or unseen. That uncomfortable feeling you get when someone seems slightly off with you, when a message is read and not answered, when you sense a shift in the room, that is your sociometer firing. Not your insecurity, not your neediness, your sociometer, doing its ancient, necessary job. And then social media happened, and the sociometer, designed for a world of 30 people around a fire, was handed a machine that could deliver social feedback from hundreds of people simultaneously. A machine that could withhold that feedback, deliver it in unpredictable bursts, and make the waiting and checking feel like the most natural thing in the world. The notification is not just a notification. It is a sociometer update, a reading from the system that tells you where you stand. And the brain, ancient, unchanged, running its old programming in a new world, responds to each one with the same weight it would have given a signal from the tribe. This is why checking your phone feels urgent even when you know rationally that it isn't. The system that makes it feel urgent is not rational. It is much older than rational. So what do you do with this? Because understanding the sociometer doesn't automatically quieten it. The system is automatic, unconscious, pre-verbal. It will not respond to logic. What the research consistently points to is not eliminating the need for approval. That is neurologically impossible for most people, but diversifying the sources of it. The sociometer becomes dangerous when it is calibrated to a very small number of people. When your entire sense of social standing rests on the responses of one person, one audience, one feed. Because then every silence is a crisis. Every unanswered message is a threat. But when the approval network is wider, when it draws from multiple genuine connections from your own internal standards, from the work itself, rather than only the response to it, the sociometer stabilizes. It still fires. It still monitors. But the fluctuations become smaller, less destabilizing, less able to determine your entire emotional state based on whether someone double-tapped a photograph. You're not needy for needing approval. You are not shallow for checking whether people responded. You are a social animal running extraordinarily sophisticated social software in a world that has changed faster than the software can update. The need for approval kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years. It just wasn't designed for an audience of thousands. And it wasn't designed for the ability to check at any moment, in any place, exactly how many of them approved.